Welcome back, builders. This week we're taking a look at late age TNG, Barbarian Kings. The Celestial Empire is crumbling. Constant invasions from the barbaric Khans have all but destroyed the Imperial Bureaucracy. The Imperial family has been replaced by Barbarian Kings. The Imperial Guard is no more, and the cavalry of old have been replaced with skilled barbarian horsemen. Ancestral worship is popular once more, and priest mages of barbarian heritage who lead the ancestor cult are replacing the priests of the bureaucracy. With the displacement of the eunuchs from power, conscription has fallen out of use. This is one of those nations that I feel like Illwinter could probably afford to add another paragraph, like tell us more about these Khans and barbarian kings. These are obviously a analog to Mongols taking over parts of China, but yeah, it'd be nice to have a little bit more in-game lore here. For national features, we are humans. Our military is cavalry, heavy infantry, and archers. That's a very disappointing thing that this is not crossbows anymore. For magic, we are all right at water, earth, death, nature, air. We have a little bit of astral and some glamour. We have some of our, not all, but some of our summons still remaining. Our priests are weak. We only have priest level 1s, and we build standard forts. That means we go up to citadels. For sites, we have 2. We have the Celestial City, which allows us to get our Cap Sacred, a Death Gem, an Earth Gem, and the Heavenly Gate, which is an Astral Pearl, an Air Gem, and allows us to get the Celestial Master. Units and Sacred. For units, we have actually regressed from Middle Ages. We have lost our crossbows, and we've lost some of our heaviest troops. We also do not have chariots from ages past. Overall, kind of an ouch on the line, to be frank. A lot of that comes back to just being human troops with human weapons and human strength, unfortunately. Starting us off is the Footman. The Footman has a length 5 pike. That's actually all right. The length 5 lets us basically repel anything, and 10 is an okay attack to try to do that. The main thing here is, as the, I guess, the equivalent of a militiaman for this nation, 10 gold, 9 resources, 9 recruitment points is pretty cheap, frankly. You get a standard human chassis, including only 10 morale, armored in full leather armor and a half helmet, which gives you 9 on the body and 18 on the head. I don't love these guys, but I mean, they are dirt cheap. They do have a chance to repel, and 16 piercing is enough that you might be able to do some damage. However, 10 protections on the low end, human strength, I'm not jumping for joy with these guys, but maybe you want some lance catchers or some guys on your flanks to try to stop cavalry getting through or something. You could do worse. Next up, we have Footman. This one is wielding a glaive. Otherwise, it is the same human stats. 10 gold, 11 resources, 9 recruitment points. The glaive is with the addition of the leather armor and half helmet that we just saw. Glaives are nice. They struggle a little bit to hit, only having a 9 attack. But if they do hit, 22 piercing / slashing damage is pretty good. I do like glaives, generally speaking. They're better on nations that have some fire to be able to buff the attack, but this allows you to chop down heavy cav or heavy infantry that you may otherwise struggle with. In this version, this is the cheap version. As we go up in armor, we don't go up in offense power. We also tend to increase our encumbrance. So more of these guys swinging more is probably better if you're using them strictly for the DPS to try to chop down big targets. Overall, okay troop. Next, we have the standard Footman. Ouch, is what I have to say here. 10 gold, 11 resources, 9 recruitment points, the same human stats, wielding a spear. A human with a standard spear in late age is really going to struggle. Yes, you might be able to get some repels because a lot of people have moved down beyond length or below length 3 weapons, but 13 piercing damage is going to really struggle. Now, we do have Earth 2 casters, which means we have access to giant strength. Giant strength on these guys, taking them up to a 17 piercing damage, makes them a lot better. In addition, because of the Earth, we also could do temper armor, and that would up their protection to be a little less flimsy. They do have a tower shield. Tower shields are still good. They're not as good as kite shields, but that's okay. They're still decent. High parry value on that means you're very likely to catch arrows, or in this case, bolts. And with that, in addition to the regular army, they do okay against that. They'll still get some damage incoming from crossbows, but they can weather the storm. What they're going to struggle with is actually melee combat. They're going to tire out and then get chopped up pretty effectively. These are not as tough as you'd like. In early age, very strong troop. In late age, a little bit of a not so much. Moving up again, we have Archer. Man, I wish this was Crossbowman. 10 gold, 12 resources, 9 recruitment points, standard human chassis. We have a short sword that actually does 15 piercing slashing, which is kind of nice, although the 9 attack isn't stellar. And they're wielding composite bows. Again, in early era, composite bows actually kind of a terror. In late age, yeah, it's okay, I guess. 13 piercing's okay against the lighter crossbowmen, but heavily armored crossbowmen can kind of shake that off a little bit. Their strength here is going to be cheap and range 40. So you can at least equal range of most crossbows. So as a counter battery, all right, you're going to be kind of disappointed if you think these are going to do well shooting into most standard good troops of the era. Next up, we have Heavy Footman. This is a glaive variety. This is 10 gold, 20 resources, 9 recruitment points, human stats. Protection is up to 15 because now we have a full scale mail on the body, and we are still wielding that glaive. Again, our offense has not changed. However, going from 10 protection to 15 is pretty substantial, and given all things equal, I'd definitely pick this over the other one. However, we could get basically to double the amount. So if the number of weapons that need to be swung is more important than actually living, the lighter buys are better than this one. Overall, though, I do like this troop. They're going to hate crossbows, but who doesn't? So chopping up heavy things and maybe being able to take on like some line troops maybe because of their 15 protection could be a thing here. Next is Heavy Footman. This is a spear and tower shield variety with that full scale mail. 10 gold, 20 resources, 9 recruitment points, same basic stats. This is better. This is definitely the line troop you're probably going to end up using. 15 protection plus a tower shield, plus having the chance to maybe get some repels, makes them okay at standing up. However, you get half as many of them. So if your lines are not getting wrapped, this is definitely the better troop. And they definitely would like buffs, just like everyone else. So again, giant strength, temper armor, bestie friends here. We have a medium footman. This is the glaive variety. Scale mail cuirass and a half helmet. Ends up giving you 10 on the body. Again, with these weird medium troops, I tend to find that these are not as good. It's only 6 more resources to go up to 15 protection. I think that's probably worth it in most cases. If I want numbers, I'll go light. If I want durability, I'll go heavy. Why would I get the medium? I struggle with that a little bit here. So I kind of feel this is a middle child of the glaive infantry, unfortunately. We also have a medium footman with a tower shield and spear. Again, the same problem. If I want lots of them, I'll go really cheap. We're wielding the same weapon. We have the same shield, which is our main power here. And if I want quality, I'll go with the heavies. So I don't really see these mediums being particularly great. Maybe your mileage may vary. Moving up into cavalry, we have the Barbarian Horsemen. And one thing to note here is these can be recruited in plains, farms, and wastes. So outside of your forts. This version has a light lance and a composite crossbow, full leather armor, half helmet, and a buckler. They have Pillager, Mobile Archer, and Skilled Rider. Mobile Archer means you can fire and move in the same turn. This is mainly useful for fire and keep distance. That can have some uses. Pillager allows you to raid a province like extra well. It'll cause unrest, it'll kill off some population, and you'll steal money directly. If you're raiding someone, as in like going through and taking their territory behind the front lines, and you know you're not going to keep the territory, it's really nice to pillage it. Just when they get it back, it'll be messed up. If it's something I'm planning on trying to keep, I would be less interested in doing pillager. Overall, The light lance is okay, although a light lance in late age, The composite bows, again, The main thing here would be maybe fire and keep distance, like on the flanks, and after 10 rounds, when you run out of, or is it 10 or 12? 12 rounds after you run out of ammo, then you charge in and get a lance hit. That could be kind of nice to have some lances come in at the end of combat when like the main heavy hitters are either tired or gone. and then being able to kind of clean things up. I'm not in love with this. Step horse, they're fine. Leather barding isn't going to do it in late age. Hoof attacks are all right. Moving up to Barbarian Heavy Cavalry, again, all plains, farms, and wastes. This is actually not terrible, especially if you spawn in an area that has a lot of resources available on those plains, farms, and wastes. 25 gold, 38 resources, 24 recruitment points. In the game behind us here, I was able to get 2 or 3 of these in places where I could get them for the most part. Some weren't that good, but this can actually help quite a bit. And they're pretty well armed. One thing of note, this is a heavy infantry that has a 22 map move. That's actually really nice. You can often get at least a double move and rarely maybe a triple move out of these guys. They have good stats, especially compared to those humans we've been looking at. 12 HP, 11 attack. The 15 defense isn't terrible. Good protection, full scale mail, half helmet, and a shield. Good morale is actually up to 12. They're pillagers, mobile archers, and skilled riders. They have an actual lance, a falchion, and a composite bow. Overall, pretty darn nice there, I would say. I kind of wish they didn't have the composite bow because we're paying for a bow when they're kind of heavy cav and you want them to do heavy cav things. And if I didn't want them to do heavy cav things, I would buy the lighter cavalry that still has the bow and a light lance, which is a lot cheaper. But that's okay, it's fine. They'll pair well with our sacred if we just need to bolster our sacred numbers some. So that's a thing. Their step horse here has light scale barding. At least it's a 10, but 10 isn't still really going to cover it in the late age, unfortunately. Again, the hoof attack's fine. It's all right. Overall, definitely usable. And I think you do want to try to use your non-cap recruitment. This used to be better in 5 because you had more of an advantage that you were able to quickly turn your gold into troops. Now, with the way population and money has been changed, I don't know if in a zero-sum game, if these are as good as they used to be, but they're okay. They're all right. And they do have some flexibility based on this equipment. They're fine in melee. They have a good lance, but they also, if you don't want them going in, you can stall it out with composite bows. Being able to hold still for buffs is kind of a nice thing. Being able to get whatever buffs you can do on them while they're nice and still, and then later on they can go in fully buffed, can be a thing. Finally, we have our cap only sacred. Our cap only sacred is the ancestor vessel. This is cap only, of course. This is again a heavy cav. It has 50 gold, 49 resources, 46 recruitment points. So pretty expensive, but pretty in line with a heavy cav unit. The human rider has pretty good stats for a human. Protection wise, they have ancestor armor, which is a 17 armor body. Kind of nice. It's magic armor, which is useful for resisting certain armor destroying spells or rust. They have half helmets and a shield. They are sacred pillagers. They have spirit sight. Very nice to have. They have mobile archer and skilled rider 3. They have a lance, a falchion, and a howling bow. So very similar to the one we just looked at, but better armored. The howling bow is a magic bow that has 12 ammo, 2 extra precision. On damage, note damage, not hit, they do lesser fear, which gives you some extra magic damage, and does fear, which is armor negating. Can be kind of nice. It's going to struggle a little bit. 15 damage is all right. They definitely would appreciate a little bit of extra strength to up this damage so that we could get through and damage people so that we can hit them with the extra damage and the fear. Definitely. If you're bouncing off of shields, you're not getting the fear effect, which I think is their A, most unique thing, but B, what makes them kind of useful. The armor is good. As a rider, he's not going to poop out too fast, and his horse actually has cataphract barding. That's head and body 15. As far as horses go, that's actually on the better side. They are animals with only 6 magic resistance. This is a huge nerf from 5, where they didn't have the low magic resistance. But beyond that, they're all right. They're sacred, so if they have something that affects them, they'll get the bonus out of that. 11 attacks, also higher than most horses have, so you can actually maybe get some hits with the horse. Overall, one of the very few sacred archers, and definitely not the worst, although, again, if you're going to make a sacred archer, you kind of want to all in on that, and we kind of are a multi-purpose unit, which kind of hurts us a little bit. I definitely think strength is very interesting here because it'll apply to your mount, it'll apply to your bow, it'll apply to everything else. Remember, bows add half of your strength. So if we could get our strength even just to 14, that would go up to 16 damage, which would help them out quite decently. Heroes, commanders, and prophet. For heroes, we have 3. We have Immortal. This is the female variety. Has Air 1, Nature 2. Is sacred. Has immortality. Is ethereal. Flying. Supply bonus. And is a healer. Always nice to have healers. And being an immortal makes them very interesting for a thug. We actually have some unique gear we could give her that is actually pretty good. We have the male version. This is a fire, air, water 2, astral 3, priest level 2, immortal, flying, ambidextrous. Even better for a thug chassis. Be quite happy to get him. Finally, we have the master with the iron crutch. Has air 2, astral 2, death 2, sacred, fear, immortality. Is very, very old, has spirit sight, and is plague carrier. This is going to give you an aura of plague disease, which will give people diseases. That's in like an aura around him. So be careful of hitting your own troops. Can be really annoying for people who have really expensive sacreds. You could just send him in and get them all disease. They kill him and then he just respawns. So that would be pretty nice. Moving up into our command line, we start off with a mounted scout. Actually, all right. 35 gold, 10 resources, 1 recruitment point. So higher on resources than normal, but you get a 24 map move scout with 50 stealth, has a composite bow and a light lance. This is fine. It's fine. I don't mind that cost for what you get out of it. Next, we have General. This is our standard leader. 110 gold, 38 resources, 1 recruitment point. Human stats, essentially. Does have a composite bow. I do like leaders that have something to do. So if nothing else, he can stand behind your troops and at least plink away with a bow. Not the greatest thing ever, but it's better than literally just standing there doing absolutely nothing. He also has a lance and a falchion. So if something gets to him or a flyer gets to him, he has a pretty good chance of being able to take it out. He's actually really good on the combat stats. Horse-wise, he has the light scale barding horse. That's going to kind of let you down a little bit. But overall, it's a fine leader. We have our better leader. This is the Khan. Can be also be recruited in plains, farms, and wastes. That's actually really nice. Really good leader at 150. 190 gold, 44 resources, 2 recruitment points. Has Pillager 5. This means if you want to do the pillage command, I believe you need him to do it because you need Pillager to do it. A fast-moving Pillager army, map move of 20 more, can also make a special raid command where they will first move and possibly fight and then pillage. So this is what I was talking about if you're in enemy lands and you want to take them out, this is the way to do it. Can be quite nice, can be quite effective. Could be annoying for the enemy because then they have to go like fix the unrest and you're killing off pop and you're taking money. It's all right. It's kind of niche, but it's fine. Mobile archer, of course, and skilled rider. Again, really good combat stats. Good there. The 150 leadership's notable for +2. Most of our troops only have 10 morale. So I do prefer to use these for my leaders to get that extra morale in there and keep them in the fight. They're armored just fine with the half helmet, scale mail, and a shield. Overall, pretty nice. Also very nice that we can get our best leader, not just in forts. So our forts can concentrate on more important units, and we can grab these guys out in the field. And with their high map move, they'll be able to get wherever you need them to be, hopefully in just a single turn to pick up troops, etc., etc. Next, we have the Ceremonial Master. This is our priest. He's a priest level 1. He is sacred, has the yak tail, fly whisk, and robes. If you need a priest, here's a priest. As cheap as he gets. So 65 gold, 3 resources, 1 recruitment point. Not much to say else here. It's a priest level 1. Next, we have Master of the Way. This is a water 1, priest 1, random 100% chance of air, water, astral, nature, glamour. Some of those things are useful at level 1. Some of them are not. He is sacred, of course. For 76 gold per year, you get 9 research ability. That is efficient. That's fine. These ones don't eat. Not a huge thing, but it does exist. A little pricey for a water 1 with a random at 190. So they're all right. They're efficient researchers. Water 1's not my favorite thing in the world. This is nice for going around to build infrastructure because he can do both the temple and the lab himself, freeing up not having to have an extra priest run around or a better mage run around and do it. That is at least something. Next, we have Ancestor Smith. Can also be recruited in highlands and mountains. Do note you'll need the lab and the temple to do that, but it is very nice to have outside of Fort Mage recruitment. 310 gold, 16 resources, 2 recruitment points. Has better than human stats and decently better than human stats, actually. Good morale, not much of a leader, although he does have some magic leadership and some undead leadership. For efficiency, 13 research for 124 is kind of right at what I consider efficient, so that's fine. He comes in at a guaranteed Earth 2 Death 1, Priest 1. That's already really good. Earth 2 is like the sweet point for Earth because we can Earth power to 3, and that lets us do most of the good stuff. And he has a random 100% chance of Air, Astral, Death, Nature. Some of that has a little bit of cross path potential, not stellar, frankly. They do come in at pretty darn old, though, unfortunately. And they have Forge bonus. Forge bonus of 1 means a cost of crafting reduction of 1. So you can give him a Dwarven Hammer and really stack that up, making Earth Armors, Earth Boots, Dwarven Hammers, some weapons, Black Steel, etc., etc. Maybe you could give him a Skull Staff, and then he could craft your Skull Staves at a little bit extra discount. May even be worth it if you have a specific thing you want to craft a lot of. Empowering one of these guys to get some extra forge bonus could be something worth thinking about. Has an Ancestor Sword, which is actually kind of a nice weapon. Two-hander, causes fear, just like the Wailing Bows. And Ancestor Armor, which is 17 armor on the body. That's actually not terrible. It is a two-handed weapon, so no shield. These could make very lightish thugs, because you could give yourself Personal Iron Skin, Temper Flesh, Strength of Giants, Skeleton. Well, I guess if you're already tempering flesh, you don't need skeletal body. Give him a hat. It could be something. It could be something. A fear weapon. It's all right. Does have magic, which is nice. I don't think that's stellar. Spirit Master. Again, 310 gold, 11 resources, 2 recruitment points. Better than human stats yet again. High magic resist, high morale, 13 research for 124. Again, just right at that efficiency. Has Death 1, Nature 2, Priest 1, and a 100% chance of Air, Earth, Astral, Death. It is always nice to see guaranteed pathing that's useful. Nature 2 allows us to craft Thistle Maces, guaranteed. Some of the other nature items that are quite useful, guaranteed. Just good, just really good. If you luck into the Earth, you could give yourself a Thistle Mace, and then you could Strength of Gia, which takes you up to Nature 4. Now you're looking at being able to Howl, big poison resist casts, maybe a Creeping Doom, Bark Skin stuff coming out, Eagle Eyes, Cat's Eyes, lots of good nature buffs, and pretty decent odds that you can get that. That's a 25% chance to get that Earth. Or you could get Astral and Communion up. Lots of options here. Has Spirit Sight, is also very old. Next, we have the Ancestral Guide. This is a Air 1, Death 2 Priest with Air, Earth, Astral, Nature. It means we could get Air 2. That can be kind of useful. Again, 310 gold, 11 resources, 2 recruitment points. The same efficiency for research. Again, very old. I do think that you need to strongly consider unaging Bless on this nation, because these mages are good and your backbone mages, and they're all ancient. So I definitely think that's a strong contender. Our final commander is a Celestial Master. This is our cap only. It is slow to recruit. 310 gold, 5 resources, slow to recruit. Back down to kind of old man human stats. 15 research for 124 is more efficient, but you're slow to recruit, so you're probably not going to take that into account. We are guaranteed Air 1, Water 2, Astral, Priest, level 1, and then a 110% chance of Air, Earth, Astral, Nature, Glamour. Overall, on that for the most part. They're slow to recruit unless I specifically was going to communion them for something, which you might want to, but a little disappointing on this guy. He's also ancient, 173, although his max age is 200, so he's not nearly as bad. Has the Yak Tail, Fly Whisk, and Imperial Robes. Overall, these 3 old guys, the Ancestor Guide, the Spirit Master, and the Ancestor Smith, are definitely your backbone. I think you're really looking for highlands and mountains. Being able to get extras of these guys out is quite nice. Earth is just such a good pathing. We really like the buffs, and offensively, I mean, Blade Winds exists, even if I don't love that spell. The various Earth Melds, Maws of the Earth, things like that can be kind of nice. Hold things still for our ancestral vessels to be able to fear maybe and shoot, etc., etc. Hold things when you're grappled with Earth Melds, you have very low defense, letting our glaives actually hit people. That's another kind of use for them. Okay lineup here. Good mages, but strongly need to consider that unaging bless to really make them work. Who would I make my prophet? I think in general, I probably want a Khan. He has the best armored horse, and he's a good leader. He does have the composite bow, so he has something he could do, but you're not going to feel like you're missing out if he's doing prophet stuff. Mount move 20 is decent. You could go with the scout. It is faster. But I think Khan's probably the way I would go on this nation. As for national items, we actually have 2 national items. And the first one is going to be a sword. Where are you at here? The Sword of 5 Elements requires fire magic level 1, water magic level 1. Unfortunately, don't really have fire available. So, ouch. Because this is a nice weapon. It's Reinvig 2. It only costs 2 fire and 2 water gems, so you can easily make this relatively cheap with a Dwarven Hammer. It is a magic weapon that gives you 3 attack and 4 defense. I like that weapon a lot, although it's going to be difficult for us to be able to get it out. We also have an armor, again at Construction 5, Armor of 5 Elements. This is a Earth level 1, Air level 1, 2 Earth, 2 Air gem, and it gives you 4 hit points, a magic resist, and 5 fire, shock, cold resist. Very nice. 17 body protection, only -1 defense, only 2 encumbrance. Great piece of thug armor. Maybe even just for mages or just your leaders if you have it available to craft, especially if you're paying 1 and 1 gem with reductions. I like this armor quite a bit. It's a shame that we can't easily make the sword to go along with it. Other items I think you'd definitely consider. Earth boots, skull staves are going to probably be your big 2 more than anything else. Thistle maces also. And then, of course, just any of the generic earth or nature items, bases of protection, various supply items, handful of acorns, girdles of might. Cornucopia we can make with a thistle mace, so that could be kind of handy to get there. If you want research stuff, Homunculus is very strong. We also have a smidgen of glamour, so you might be able to use a few dreamstones. Could get those out if you get lucky. Overall, pretty good for the crafting, I would say, just based on our pathing. Magic-wise, we have several national spells. First up, we have the Celestial Servant. The Celestial Servant, and yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these. We'll look at these once we're done calling them out. That's the big pig guy with a rake. We have Call Ancestors. That spell's back. This is a spell that always tempts me into danger. They are summonable ethereal ghosts that are sacred, and that gets me in all kinds of trouble. At 3, we have Herd of Buffalo, my favorite animal summoning spell. Good, decent size, berserking tramplers. And we do have a little bit of nature income, and we have a nature mage who can cast them. At 4, we have Celestial Hounds. Celestial Hounds, again, that is something we can natively cast. At 6, we have Celestial Soldiers. Again, we can natively cast this. We get 6 of these for 15 air gems. I feel that's a fine price. However, 15 air gems is a steep cost. If nothing else, you could just turn that into 3 Alquils. That's kind of hard to beat. And if we have a high air guy, being able to make things like air boots or air boosters are very tempting, and these are not super cheap at 15 air gems. At Conjuration 7, we have Wrath of Ancestors. This is, again, what gets me in trouble. It is a death 1, costs 1 death gem. So basically anyone with death can cast this, and it gives you 20 plus ancestral spirits. This spell actually lets you get out enough of these guys that you can still on script be able to bless them with your prophet. or if your god's present and you're in your own domain, so they're auto blessed, you could definitely make some blesses for these. Do I think it's worth doing? Probably not, but I mean, righteous wrath. Oh man, there's some blesses in here. I'm just saying, there's some blesses in here that make them very interesting, but I just don't think they're good enough. Next up in Evo, at Evo 6, we have Celestial Chastisement. This is an Astral 3 spell. It is a very, very strong anti-magic being spell. It's essentially an enslave on them. Astral 3 is kind of hard for us to get, and you'd have to have the right target, but the right circumstances can be absolutely overpowering. Finally, in Alteration, at Alt 5, we have Internal Alchemy. Again, the only guy who can cast this doesn't need it particularly. It's 5 water gems, and it makes you 15 years younger. Yeah, I really wish this was like targetable or something. Then that may be a way you could like talk yourself into not taking unaging because you think you're gonna unage people. Spoilers, even if you could do that, you wouldn't do it because it's 5 water gems. But I don't know. I don't know why that spell exists, frankly. Other magic things to consider. You definitely, in Conjuration, want to get Summon Earth Power. I think that's absolutely vital. In Alteration, the nature buffs, the earth buffs are both very, very good. Going into Evocation, I think there's some interesting stuff. As I mentioned, Blade Wind does exist. Can be a thing. We do get a few Air 2s, so Lightning isn't terrible to have as an option. Not going to be a mainstay for us because we just don't have reliable Air 2s. Beyond those, though, we can kind of sort of do Gifts from Heaven. We're not going to be great at it, though. Cleansing Water is something that we can get. This is a very good anti-undead, anti-demon spell. A nice large area of effect, low fatigue, okay damage that's armor negating. Can be pretty overpowering against the right targets. One thing that we lost between Dominions 5 and Dominions 6 is Wailing Winds. Wailing Winds moved over to Glamour, and we have different fear effects, especially on our Sacreds. So Wailing Winds, we'll see when we get to Pretenders, but I think Wailing Winds is still really strong, especially when we have other sources of fear. We do have Nature Mages and we do have Death Mages, both of which have fear spells. And then we have those fear on our Bowmen. So I do kind of like the idea of maybe making a Pretender that can help with Wailing Winds. Could be a thing. It is a little pricey at 2 Glamour gems, though, for a nation that doesn't have good Glamour. In Construction, as mentioned, all those boosters especially, and maybe a little bit of Thug Gear can be interesting. Enchantment's going to be really important for us. This is going to give us Strength of Giants. This is going to give us Summon or Animate Skeletons and Horde of Skeletons, more important down here. The bigger strength buffs. The Earth Shatter Hammers can be nice, gives you a chance to stun things, but more importantly, Weapons of Sharpness. Easy for us to cast, doesn't require a gem. Yes, it's only AoE 1, but still, I think that can be good against the right targets. Group Regeneration is very doable by us quite easily. It's AoE 3+. Yeah, I mean, we're doing it on human troops for the most part, but still can be all right. I did specifically want to call out in Thaumaturgy, we have Panic. Panic is an interesting spell. It's AoE 5+, and it has a Frighten on it. We can natively recruit Nature 2 Mages. This can be another way that we could stack in some more fear. And then also from Thaumaturgy is going to be Frighten, which is AoE 1 for a big fear, and Terror. Terror's a little harder for us to cast. We kind of need Skull stats before we can get into that. But if you do get it, AoE 5+ Fear 3. Combine that with some Fear Arrows and maybe a Pretender that's doing Wailing Winds. Can be quite good. Gives us a little something besides just Skelly spamming and earth buffs that maybe we could threaten with. It's always nice to be able to do a couple things instead of relying on just a single strategy that if that happens to get countered, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Overall for Magic, I think we have decent mages that can do decent things, but none of those are like make me jump for joy. I guess it should also be said, we probably want to go up Construction anyways, and Construction up to 6 gets you Legions of Steel. A guy with Earth Boots and then Summon Earth Power can just natively cast that for 1 Earth Gem and that would hit all of our troops with 3 protection on each armor piece. Very, very helpful. I do think that that is probably a research goal, and just depending on your target, whether you'd want that first or whether you would want to go for high giant strength first is debatable. Either way, though, I definitely think you do want that. Giant strength warriors here does cost an earth gem. Again, expensive, but I think we need this because 13 damage spears are not going to win you wars. So yeah, and again, it hurts that this costs an earth gem. Definitely get out there and get that earth searching early and just pray that you get a little bit of earth income, because we're probably going to need to dump a lot of it into casting spells. Alteration with the Maws of the Earth is another one. Again, pretty easy for us to cast, but does cost an earth gem. Nice size, quite actually damaging. It's an armor piercing spell, and if you grab them, it'll hold them still for your archers to plink them, or maybe your glaives to be able to hit and kill things. Could be pretty useful there. In here we have our Ancestral Spirit. This is the guy that gets me into so much trouble. So it is sacred, poor amphibian, has cold resist, poison resist, it's undead, it doesn't eat, it's ethereal, it's floating, it has stealth, it's vulnerable to salt, it has spirit form, and has spirit sight. As you can see up here, it only has 1 HP, only has 8 defense, okay magic resist at 11, good morale. It has a paralyzing attack that does skill 8 at the attack, and the paralyze itself is armor negating, and I believe that's on magic. Yeah, magic resistance negates. So that is one reason why you might want some magic pin on a bless, but again, traps. A lot of these guys with like righteous wrath, so if they kill one of these, the other one's stats skyrocket. Could be kind of interesting, although again, like they're hard to bless. I don't know, that is definitely a trap, but it's a trap I fall into a lot because I think they're cool. Next is the Celestial Hound. You get 2 of these when you summon them. These are fine. 25 HP, good stats, essentially. Good magic resist, good morale. High patrol bonus. Maybe that's something you might need to get rid of some assassins or something. They are the magic beings themselves. They are sacred. They have a magic bite and claw attack. Hold attack rear with like 6 of these could be pretty devastating, hard to defend against, especially if you could get them body ethereal and maybe a protection buff before they head out. The Celestial Servant. This is the pig guy with the rake. I don't love these guys at all. I suppose 5.8 siege strength, but yeah, I mean, ogres exist. Lots of HP. They are sacred. They are magic beings. Yeah, kind of whatever. Buffalo, as I always mention, one of my favorite animals. They can trample. They go berserk, so they're probably not going to run back through you. Yeah, totally usable. Castable natively is pretty nice. And finally, the Celestial Soldiers. I do like these quite a bit, actually. They are going to suffer from crossbows quite distinctly, but if that's not a problem for whatever reason, you can buff them with air shield or something. They are sacred. They are magic beings. They have a glaive that 14 attack with 32 damage, piercing and slashing. This could hit a monolith, for example, and we could boost this up with some more buffs pretty easily. They do have a hat on. They do have armor. Pretty good. At size 5, they're not going to be able to wade to the front, unfortunately. But yeah, I think these are totally usable if you're willing to shell out the 15 air gems to get 6 of them. Okay, let's bring all that together. Late Age TNC unfortunately has lost some of the stuff that made them powerful, mainly being able to have those nice crossbows, being able to do gifts from heaven quite easily, and big, strong communions. We can still do some communions, but they're not as strong. We don't have a crossbow, which is very unfortunate in this age, although we do have one of the better anti-crossbowman archers, so that's at least something there, I suppose. The transition from 5 to 6 also changed how cavalry works, and I think in general it's made us weaker than we were before. Still usable, but that has hurt. At least we have recruit anywhere heavy cav that isn't terrible. Like maybe get an extra guy there. I could get 3 of them here. I could get 2, almost 3 of them here. So you can actually get quite a decent amount of that heavy cav. But even then, they're really going to need the buffs to be able to really take off. We have a Capillary Sacred that's interesting. Probably not one of the strongest ones, unfortunately. In my test games, I struggled with expansion really badly. Really badly. You are very dependent on what your cap circle is. I had an easy throne here, luckily, or I would have been really in trouble. But I had to take a couple turns to be able to get enough troops for any of these. And in most of these fights, my front line with the tower shields got wiped out. So even if I would win, I would run out of front line and I would have to either wait for troops or go home and get more troops. And that really hurt. And yeah, this is kind of a bad spawn, but I mean, I play most spawns, so it is what it is. It hurt. It hurt a lot. And you really want to get that going because even in this game where I took production 3, I'm not getting like stupid amounts of troops out here. Like, I'm just not. And we're human troops, so we're going to have a lot of attrition throughout our expansion. So that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt quite a bit. Beyond that, I definitely think you're looking for mountains and highlands. So areas like here, where we have those mountains, a lab and a temple to be able to recruit the ancestor smiths is very, very strong. I definitely would try to expand in ways where you can get those. Because yes, they're going to be slow to recruit outside of a fort, but still, this is arguably, I would say, our best mage. And being able to just get more of them is definitely going to be a good thing. Even if, let's say, like, I got 3 here and 3 here throughout a game, that's 6 extra mages. And they're like 6 good mages that you definitely can use. So very strong there. Beyond that, while we have decent mages, they really like the Unaging Bless. I have it in this game. So you can see here, he's 49 out of 50. So he's barely not old. We are 109 out of 100. So he's still old. We are 49 out of 50. So we are barely not old. So without that, they're going to be old men. And you're going to have all the old men dying problems in addition to all of their stat penalties that they get for being old. So this is a nation I think really does like that Unaging Bless, which kind of sucks because we don't have the best chassis for it, as we'll see here in a second. Pretenders and scales. As a nation, we don't have any scales adjustment. However, we lean towards needing a little bit of production for our better troops at about a 2-to-1 ratio. And while we don't need order, anything that helps with money would also help. You would probably want to keep that 1-to-2 ratio between order and production because we have troops that cost 10 gold and 20 resources as kind of our better line troops. For physical forms, we have an okay smattering, although a lot of these are kind of in my opinion. Down in Dom 1, we have Great Enchantress. She's nice for being able to gem gen. Beyond her, the Great Sage might be useful as just a very cheap guy who's going to help out on your research. Although, I don't know if we have anything that's like really going to juice us up for an early war just beyond unit buffs. Going up to Dom 2, we do have the White Tiger of the West. However, I'll show you a build I tried and it just did not work. Getting the Hardskin Bless, which is really what he needs, doesn't do anything for us. Most of our mages can either self-buff themselves with that or just don't need it. Our sacreds are archers, so the Hardskin's kind of on that. Otherwise, I do like this chassis quite a bit, but it's pretty garbage here. I'm not the biggest fan of the Eastern Dragons at all. Vermilion Bird of the South could be interesting, I suppose. He does. He's not even immortal. Never mind. I'm not a huge fan of him. Botavusta of Mercy at least is a healer. If you don't go on aging, she could sit in your cap and try to keep some of your researchers alive, I suppose. I'll show you a Phoenix build. The rest of these, it's really how I'm feeling about these. Up at Dom 3, I do like the Jade Emperor. Jade Emperor is the premier scales god available to us. Gives us extra production and order. Has air, water, and astral. We're going to look at a build for him. Beyond him, you could take Turmoil. I wouldn't go for Turmoil in the build, but if you're not taking order, this isn't going to hurt you. So that could be something. Although Kami of the Storms, he likes chaos power, so Kami of the Sun, again, the type of bless that she likes isn't going to do much for our sacred. So we're in one of those weird nations where like we like scales troops, but we also need to take on aging, but we also have kind of a very specific sacred that really wants something that's going to be different than what our mages generally want. I don't know. It's a hard one to build up. Some people like Devi of Strength, but I think she's too expensive to have the scales that we need as an awake. So unfortunately, we just really don't have great awake expanders. Again, Earth Serpent with Hardskin could work, but the Hardskin doesn't do much for us. So you would literally just be taking him for that. And if I was going to do that, I mean, how is this snake 240 points and this tiger's 130? I would definitely take the tiger 10 out of 10 times, basically. Going up to Dom 4, we do have Statue of War. Again, he does have Monster Summoner. You get Barbarians out of him, but they're not that much better than just recruiting a light glaive troop or a pikeman. So, he does give availability of some fire, but he's not mobile, so he can't go search for it himself. He can't be like giving you flaming arrows or battle fury. So, And then blood, we don't really do blood stuff. And then in Oracle, now I will say for the Oracle, that's a decent chassis if you want to do a very, very as cheap as you can go quickness bless. So quickness needs water 9. Gives me -1 point. So I have 18 points. I could do a wake quickness. Probably wouldn't though. I would probably go at least dormant, and I would get some scales here. Okay, I mean this, I don't hate this. If I'm taking quickness, I probably want pretty high dominion. Something like that, or maybe we drop the order and we go some extra. Okay, I actually don't hate this. I don't hate this. Quickness on our sacreds means we could pump out those fear arrows early in the fight while we're holding still to get buffed. And then we have quickness on us, and we have hopefully like giant strength, weapons of sharpness, and temper armor. I actually don't hate that. This is actually okay. I might, in fact, you know what? You're gonna be Quickie the Fountain. I didn't obviously test with that, but I actually don't hate that build here. Quickness doesn't do much for our mages, but it doesn't really hurt them either, so that's fine. I guess they could run away quicker. All right, let's take a look at a couple that I did build. So first up, let's look at Kinoga the Eternal. This is a Phoenix build. I do actually kind of like the Phoenix. This is an Awake 1, Fire 4, Air 4, Nature 3. Scale-wise, 5 candles in order, 2 production, 2 heat. We don't love heat, but it's fine. And one of the scariest natures is Late Age Atlantis. So, and Lemuria, both of which kind of like cold, so that's fine there. And we needed the Magic 1 for Unaging. Now, this is a very light bless. However, Unaging helps our mages out, and we took 5 precision. That helps our mages and our sacred. So our sacreds will have like laser guided shots. They're probably going to want giant strength to actually be able to penetrate armor and use it. But that's going to give them, oh, what would that be? Probably 16 precision, I think, because they're mounted archers. But 16 precision is pretty dang precise with magic fear bows. That definitely could be a thing. And then he also brings the ability of being able to do fire arrows, could be a possibility. Be able to do arrow fend. Again, crossbows are going to absolutely wreck our day. Also wind guide for ourselves. Also other air buffs that can be kind of handy. And the nature is kind of whatever here, but if nothing else, it lets him eagle eyes himself, or I guess he could aim himself, so moot there. But Bark Skin himself, he does have good resist. He is immortal. So he'll come back if he dies. He has domain immortality, I should say. So be careful where you're using him. But that's fine. Air booster, you would have to empower up to Air 5 though, because he is an inept smith. Just FYI on that. But overall, I don't hate him. He's kind of a utility pick. But while he's not an expander god, as long as you give him some spell, he could go with your troops and help expand. And if you're careful and stay in your own domain, even if he dies, he'll come right back. So that's not too risky. Next one, let's look at Wheat Cat. So I tried. I really strongly feel that Unaging is needed. So this is Unaging, and I can afford 1 strength of the earth. That's not enough, really. You need 2 to make the bows better. He went high production. I would probably drop some production here, honestly, and get a few more points to get up to strength 2. He ended up with only Astral 2. That makes him very juicy target for magic duels. I don't think this is a good go, unfortunately. Only having 16 protections, not enough. Even once you start self-buffing, it's just not going to be enough. Finally, we have Kaching. This is probably the one I'll play, although I do kind of like the idea of that quickness one. With him, we have a decent bless. He's imprisoned, so he's scales and bless. Kind of a rainbow mage here. Air 4, Water 2, Earth 2, Astral 3, Nature 3, Glamour 3. And he's got high fortune teller, good research, although it's imprisoned, so none of that's really going to matter. His big thing is we're buffing the archery here, but also the mages. So 2 precision, 2 strength of earth. The reason 2 strength of earth is important is it gets our bows up to 16 damage. So they're more precise, and now they can have a better chance of actually doing the damage, so they can get the damage and the fear effect. Unaging for the mages, and heroism. So you'll get some extra stats for both your sacreds and your mages by leveling them up. So heroism will help with that quite a bit. Most of the mages we're going to recruit are sacred, so that'll be fine for them. They can make use of the precision just fine. So that's useful there. And sacreds leveling up is always a great thing. Get some extra stat line. And because they're sacred archer melee guys, they can kind of use all the various stats that you have, which is kind of nice. Overall, good on the stats here. Kind of boring. I don't love imprisons, especially for stream, because we're just not going to see him much. If he does show up, though, one of the nice things for him is he can make himself a glamour booster and then be able to Wailing Winds. He also can give us arrow fend for our late game armies. So he's going to Wailing Winds. He's going to stop us from dying to crossbowmen. And then hopefully we'll basically fear the enemy army off the field if we can't outright crush them. All right, in conclusion, late age TNG is all right. I definitely feel that they have gotten weaker from 5 to 6. They are doing some interesting things. They have some decent mages. They have a interesting sacred, even if I don't feel like it's the strongest here. It's really unfortunate that they lost the crossbows. If this guy was gone and we just had even like a medium crossbow, which is like, you know, the medium armor plus a normal crossbow, which is kind of like the worst crossbow, I would still be much happier, much happier with the nation. As it stands, I definitely think that we're kind of mid, like aggressively mid to low, but it can still be fun. And they are a nation that did make it all the way through, and kind of an interesting mix of staying the same, but also changing in each age and having pretty distinct periods in their development. I definitely am interested in hearing about some other god builds and blesses. I'm not like super excited about any of these. That Jade Emperor guy is kind of the coolest one. Although the more I think about the quickness, the more I'm like, quickness on these guys, that could be interesting. So that could be a thing. That could be a thing. So let me know what your builds are, what you like. I do know that I think Jade Emperor with like magic weapons and like pin or something won one of the tournament games. So maybe that's a thing that I'm missing here. Let me know if you know a good build similar to that. And beyond that, just any other thoughts about TNG. Hopefully this has been somewhat enlightening for you. Always aim to please. Let me know if I missed anything else. Always happy to see what other people know and share that knowledge out. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like on the video. That really helps me out. If you are not currently a subscriber, I hope I've earned your subscription here with the TNG Barbarian Kings. I'd love to have you back. Join me in the comments or live. If you want to go above and beyond to support the channel, you can always leave a super thanks on the video, join me live for a super chat, or consider becoming a member or Patreon of the channel. As a member or patron, you can link your Discord in, which gets you into the file channel. I've got the island maps that we played on before in there if you'd like to play on them, in addition to some other games files that you're free to grab and use. As a member on YouTube, you'll also get early access to videos such as this or other things that I'm working on. Either way, thank you everyone for your support. It really does help out the channel a ton. All right, I look forward to seeing you on stream and in the contents. Babble out, right on, you Barbarian Kings.